For almost 150 years, the United States has recognized the ever-changing diversity of its citizens and has adapted its governance, although sometimes slowly, to address their needs and expectations in areas such as civil rights and equality. The initial effort began with President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, when he ordered those enslaved in Confederate territory to be free forever. This was followed in 1865 by the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which abolished slavery in all of the United States. As a result, the United States had new diversity within its citizenship, and equal rights became an expectation. This initial step in 1863 began a journey which has spanned more than 150 years. This journey to address the civil rights of citizens is likely to continue over the next 150 years and beyond as change in the makeup and needs of our nation's citizens continues. This effort is not limited to the federal government, though. State and local governments also have a unique responsibility to represent and serve all citizens through their services and programs. Their elected and appointed officials have a responsibility unlike that of others. As civil servants, elected officials, and the staffs they employ must represent all of the public, their activities, and their needs. Conservation districts, as a body politic and as an entity of state government, are not removed from this responsibility. Some 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, and 1 year after the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the United States passed the Civil Rights Act of 1866 in an attempt to protect the civil rights of newly freed slaves, addressing such matters as the right to hold property, right to sue, right to be heard in a jury trial, right to vote, and other rights enjoyed by other citizens. It is interesting to note that this law was an attempt to guarantee equal rights, but stopped short in affording the opportunity for equal facilities in which to enjoy these rights. But it was an important first step. It was not until almost 90 years later that the issue of equal rights and equal facilities was seriously challenged. On December 1, 1955, in Montgomery, Alabama, a 42-year-old African American by the name of Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to obey the order of a public bus driver to give up her seat to a white passenger. Later, the U.S. Congress recognized Ms. Parks as the First Lady of Civil Rights and the mother of the freedom movement. Some 8 years later, on August 28, 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered the renowned I Have a Dream speech from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., before an estimated crowd of 250,000. This speech and the size of this gathering are credited for putting pressure on President John F. Kennedy to advance civil rights legislation in Congress. On July 2, 1964, President Lyndon Johnson signed into law the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which addressed major forms of discrimination due to race, ethnicity, national and religious affiliations, and gender. This law ended unequal application of racial segregation in schools, in the workplace, and by facilities that serve the general public. The law represented a significant milestone in the history of civil rights, and was the forerunner of future legislative actions that addressed a wide variety of issues and concerns reflective of a very diverse population. It became evident that an ever-changing society would usher in the need and opportunity to look into other aspects of civil rights. The suffrage movement won women the right to vote in 1920, but did not gain them equal status either. As an example of the continuing effort to address the rights of all, the Civil Rights Act of 1990 was passed to protect all minorities and women from job discrimination and address the concern of the glass ceiling, which exists for many non-white males and all women who were trying to build careers and advance in their employment. As a second example, and far from the driving force of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and certainly the Act of 1866, the Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993 was passed, allowing citizens to take reasonable, job-protected, unpaid leave from work for certain covered reasons, such as the birth of a new baby or to provide medical care for an immediate family member. Far from the racial issues of the 1950s and 1960s, the Family and Medical Leave Act is an example of how the needs of the nation's citizens have changed over time, how these needs touch all segments of society, and how civil rights legislation can benefit all people. With this background, one might ask, what are the implications for soil and water conservation districts? Districts are an entity of state government and a body politic as described in North Carolina General Statute 139, and have responsibilities related to civil rights and diversity, similar to other entities of government. Since district supervisors are either elected by the public through general election or appointed by the North Carolina Soil and Water Conservation Commission, similar responsibility is vested in them as public officials. In addition, by virtue of the partnership that exists with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, local soil and water conservation districts are considered recipients of federal assistance, and therefore must be in compliance with the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and applicable amendments. This responsibility has been jointly agreed upon between the Natural Resources Conservation Service, the local district, and the Division of Soil and Water Conservation through approval of and signature on the Memorandum of Understanding. Because of the nature of local soil and water conservation districts and the work they do, several challenges come to mind when considering district responsibilities under various civil rights and diversity expectations. These include diversity on the Soil and Water District Board, fairness in program delivery, and outreach to the underserved and to those not familiar with local districts and their programs. District board makeup and diversity is a unique challenge considering the fact that 3 of 5 supervisors are elected by the general public, and local districts don't control who files and runs for election. That aside, 2 supervisors are appointed by the Soil and Water Conservation Commission, upon recommendation by the local board. This provides an opportunity for the local district to influence the makeup of the board. As vacancies occur, the board has a unique opportunity to seek candidates that will add diversity and help achieve the broad objective of best serving all the citizens of the district. Key considerations include ensuring board makeup mirrors the demographics of the population in the county as closely as possible, ensuring members represent all geographical areas of the district, ensuring members represent both agricultural and non-agricultural interests, and within agriculture, ensuring members represent all types of agriculture that are found in the county. Although program delivery is client or customer dependent, conservation programs should be delivered based on natural resource needs and not driven by the characteristics of the client. Up-to-date comprehensive strategic plans are critical in this regard, and ranking criteria for program applications should be based on the opportunity for natural resource improvement, and not the characteristics of the client or the type of farming operation. Ranking criteria should be fair and equitable to all applicants. In North Carolina, the Conservation Partnership has commented from time to time that conservation districts are the best kept secret. Districts have a responsibility to reverse that and target groups that know the least about conservation programs and services offered through the district. This can be accomplished through an effective outreach program. There are many benefits and reasons for this, including building the district's capacity, fulfilling the responsibility as a body politic to be of service to all residents of the district, and providing fairness in program delivery. Outreach doesn't just happen. It must be a conscious effort. Each district should evaluate their outreach effort to determine if priority segments of the population are being reached. Last year's outreach strategy may not be appropriate for this year's priorities. Special care should be taken to educate special populations, such as limited resource farmers and farmers who have not previously participated in district programs. And always remember, new programs and new conservation tools mean new opportunities for the district to reach clients. Therefore, go beyond the minimum if outreach efforts are going to provide positive results. The common thread in addressing many of these challenges is the makeup of the district board and the board's proactive efforts. As an example, the breakdown of North Carolina Soil and Water District supervisors by ethnicity is out of parity as compared to the overall population in the state, which is 65% white, 21% black, 8% Hispanic, and 6% other. Although this is extremely important, diversity within a district board is more than just race or gender. It is also about geographic representation in the district, representing both agriculture and non-agriculture interests, and representing all types of agriculture in the district. Even though 3 of 5 supervisors are elected, there are ways to improve the diversity of the board over time. In other words, there are several tools in the toolbox. First, consider using associate supervisors. Candidates can be selected based on board objectives and the goals of supervisor diversity. Associate supervisors can gain valuable experience regarding district programs and can then easily fill unexpired terms when there is a vacancy on the board or offer themselves when there is an opportunity to run for an elected seat. According to the district directory, 6 districts reported having a total of 10 associate supervisors in January of 2013. Secondly, advertising when there are vacancies. Several districts have had positive experiences advertising for candidates when there is a vacancy on the board. Diversity among and between candidates will allow the district to make a selection that will help them achieve their diversity goals and objectives. And thirdly, commission guiding principles. The Commission developed and approved 10 guiding principles for nominating individuals for appointment as district supervisors. These are designed to help districts build their capacity and strengthen local boards. Many of the principles will help improve and strengthen the diversity of the board, thereby building the capacity of the district. These guiding principles should be taken seriously when considering someone for appointment to the board. A well-thought-out strategy to bring about diversity on the board will help build the capacity of the district. Building capacity means bringing in new leadership skills, strengthening political connections and influence, representing all aspects of agriculture in the county, addressing non-ag natural resource concerns, strengthening the district's opportunity to raise funds, and improving the effectiveness of the district's outreach and marketing strategy. The Craven Soil and Water Conservation District is a good example of how diversity can bring strength to a district's programs and build the district's capacity. With their diverse board, they have been able to broaden their program to address non-agricultural resource needs, reach underserved communities, and expand their conservation education programs. They adhere to Malcolm Forbes' definition of diversity, the art of thinking independently together. Donald Heath, past president of the North Carolina Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts and a Craven District Supervisor since 2003, put it this way: although we are a primarily rural county, the county's small towns are now participating in our conservation programs. This is because one of our non-farmer members made a special effort to reach out to these communities and tell them about the services provided by the district. Also, minority farmers are now more familiar with conservation programs and assistance provided through the district because of one-on-one contacts from our minority board member. We have seen a positive difference in our program delivery, which can be attributed to the diversity of our board. The conservation road for North Carolina leads into the future and is long and uncharted. Where it leads and how easy or difficult it will be to travel, no one knows. But with any journey, there will be surprises and obstacles along the way, barriers to remove, decisions to be made, and problems to solve. But as Roger Wilkins said, we have no hope of solving our problems without harnessing the diversity, the energy, and the creativity of all of our people. That is embracing diversity.